Welcome to this episode of Reset Revolution. My name is Sara Kimura and I am a high school student currently studying in Paris. And today I'm inviting Shubhi Kohli from Singapore to discuss inferiority to white culture, rooting from colonization, seen in the behavior of many people, specifically in South Asia. So, hi Shubhi.
Hi, Sarah.
So, Shubhi, would you like to introduce yourself a little bit?
Yeah, of course. I'm Shubhi Kohli, and I'm a junior in high school in Singapore. I haven't yet experienced hardcore racism, but have just gotten the gist of what it would be like in the real world, identifying as an Indian woman.
To start off, could you maybe explain what inferiority to white culture is and where you would say it originates from?
So inferiority to white culture is basically when one culture who's been oppressed by white people feels inferior around that culture. And this originated from years of oppression and racism being seeped into the roots of a culture. So after all these years of racism, people started connecting white culture as power and authority and started seeing themselves as slaves and someone they need and white people as someone they need to please or impress. Specifically to South Asia, racism itself began, first of all, from when two different races started to interact. So this in South Asia would be seen during the colonization, when the white came in confident, knowing that they're powerful enough to captivate all Indians, and Indians not being ready for the situation, feeling the need to serve white people. And now that has come into even modern Indians to feel that nervousness around white people who they completely have never met, but they'll still feel that way. They'll feel the need to impress them because they feel like they'll gain something out of it. It's just the natural instinct. That's inferiority to white culture.
Have you ever felt an inferiority to white culture personally?
Yeah, sure, of course. I'm living in Singapore. It's a place where all nations meet, kind of like a united point. So coming here, joining an international school was actually my first time meeting or interacting for a long conversation with a white person.
Mhm.
And I had only been stuck in an Indian community, and I know I was an extrovert in that community. I could talk to them easily. I could express myself. But as soon as I joined my school here at the international school, I suddenly, like, even though you are a new student and you already feel nervous,
Mhm.
I was more worried about the part that I had to interact with, well, white culture, white people. How would I talk to them? Like, what would I say? Would they be all judgmental? Would I need to please them? Like, all these, it was going on in unconsciously. And from there, the first year I had mostly Asian friends
Mhm.
because I felt more comfortable with them, and I just couldn't adapt to that white culture. When you're in school with a lot of other international students, you can feel how one culture is dominant from other. I'm pretty sure you would have noticed this,
Mhm.
but when you see your Asian teachers, probably, they are likely to feel more comfortable towards an Asian student or than a white student. And I know that from my personal experience. I remember in grade 6, I was in this drama club. I still love drama. And there was this guy. He was a grade younger than me, so grade 5. And there were two teachers in the room. There was a white teacher and there was an Asian teacher. And the a guy was white as well. And he started making racial comments. It wasn't like very offensive, but I remember it impacting me because he started making fun of my accent because I wasn't very comfortable with the way I spoke at the time and how I pronounced certain words. And he was like, "Is it just because you're Indian?" And that kind of really like set me off. I was kind of like, "Oh wow," like, okay, I guess that's like when I really felt the separation.
Mhm.
And then I would see my Asian teacher just kind of going, "Oh, guys, don't do this." And the white teacher standing up and saying, this behavior is unacceptable. So there was a very clear difference in reaction. Like, obviously, the Asian teacher thought that, you know what, let's not make a big deal out of it, they're kids. But the white teacher knew that she had to stand up because she had nothing to lose. She
Mhm.
didn't feel inferior to anyone in that room. She was the most powerful person in that room, being a white person and an adult.
Like, I completely understand that. Being a person of color myself, very small factors can affect how much you speak up about your people, your culture, and then having that essence of inferiority to white culture can really de-empower
Yeah,
person
definitely.
from trying to speak up. I've definitely seen people of color, like who are teachers as well, um, being kind of hesitant to speak up to white students. And it is quite troubling. But at the same time, I feel like that also connects to like language barriers because not
Mm,
many people of color are too comfortable with the language English compared to other teachers. But then I definitely feel that inferiority stops them for being so expressive about how they feel. So finally, our viewers are willing to make a change. What do you think are the first steps to combat racism in general?
well, the very first step is people who have inferiority, they need to recognize that they have inferiority. They need to start fighting against it. They need to start avoiding their natural instincts and trying to push themselves out of that cover of, oh my god, that's a white person, into going into like, oh, that's just another person. Of course, no one wants to admit that they're inferior to someone else, like a white culture. And when I have to talk about this, I myself felt very scared. I mean, I know some people at my school will be watching this because I'm going to post it for sure, and knowing that they'll know that at some point I felt inferior to them, that's kind of it's kind of messed up. It's kind of scary. And like, but that's the kind of steps we need to take in order to overcome this inferiority, to push ourselves through these little holes. I actually wasn't very comfortable ever to talk about this. I had a friend who's also Asian, but she started talking about this with me openly.
Mhm.
So I guess she was comfortable with me since I was Asian. But us two talking made me comfortable with the topic generally.
Mhm.
So it's just when you keep talking about an idea over and over and over again, it becomes normal, just like any trend.
Mhm.
Keep listening to it, it becomes normal. So
Mhm.
me understanding that there is inferiority to white culture, it makes it normal for and easier for me to fight against it and fight against my natural instincts. Second would be education, educating people around you. Like, you are very informed and you are taking the initiative to inform people, and that's very important. So if you see someone has a wrong misjudgment about another culture, or they're making a racial statement which they might not be aware of, may be aware of, you need to correct them. You need to take that very difficult step. But it's very important when we see this kind of stuff, we need to point it out and educate them about what's wrong. Third thing would be every culture trying to understand other cultures. We can't bind ourselves into our own little wall. Even if, as a white person, you cannot just be living your privileged life. That's not how we're gonna get equal any day soon. They need to start exploring our cultures and make sure that whatever they say is not stereotypical or offensive to our culture. We need to understand their culture, which we actually kind of already do. We need to understand other Asian cultures, other or African culture, other any oppressed culture. We just need to become a global personality in order for this racism to be combated.
That's a very powerful message. Thank you so much, Shubi, and see you again. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.